Hi, Anya.
Hey Heidi. Um, I'm very intrigued by your practice, and I'm also nervous because in the past I've had experiences with therapists that have left me feeling really weird and like maybe there was something wrong with me that just wasn't part of a bigger conversation, or like I ended up feeling bad about myself because the way that my brain works just didn't seem to make sense to the person who I was working with. So I'm curious about your approach and how you manage to create space for people.
That is a great question. And I'm sorry that you felt that way. And to me, that is, you know, that's definitely one of the things that happens within our healthcare system is that feeling like you're just wrong or bad or your symptoms are too crazy or what if I say this? And let me tell you, I had symptoms where I was put in several inpatient facilities. And, I think that one of the most damaging things we can do is make people feel like wrong or bad or stigmatized from having the experiences they have. We are so amazing humans. We have such a vast variety of gifts. And although the medical system does have its value and benefit, it's not the end all be all. And having a more comprehensive approach to maybe these experiences can be attributed to any number of things, energetic influences in the universe. There's a vast universe and consciousness out there that we don't work with. We only work with a small fraction, and there's so much more that we don't know or understand. And because of the experiences I've had, I'm very passionate about helping people who may not feel normal or like the everyday, operate within the everyday confines of the human experience, how they may feel like more empowered and how they may feel like, oh, maybe their experiences are maybe gifts or things that they can channel into gifts. Maybe anxiety is just sensitivity to energies and the environment or and with other people, you know. And just adding more ways to see our human experiences is really what I'm passionate about.
It sounds like a beautiful way to create space.
Thank you. Thank you. I care a lot about helping people navigate territory that may seem scary or may seem abnormal or may seem, and I also have that side where I know when it's time to say, hey, oh, maybe you do need this medical care. But in the meantime, let's prevent. Like my approach is more coming at it from a place of, what are your resources and how can we prevent severity of this going forward and channel it into something that really empowers you rather than it being, and other cultures see symptomology like that oftentimes. Other cultures have different perspectives, so interweaving those cultural perspectives is really an important tool I use in my practice.
So you bring a lot of different culture ideas about consciousness and spirituality into your work.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say that is foundational for me.
Mm.
And it doesn't mean you have to be spiritual, but it's a foundational perspective as far as how I work with people, so they can orient themselves to who they really truly need to be in this world.
What does that look like in practice? So like let's say I'm coming to you and I know that I don't feel quite right, and I'm not really trusting of people who have told me about like diagnosis A or B, and I feel like there's just pieces of myself that I'm not understanding. How do you bring in that cultural awareness, and how do you guide someone from that standpoint?
To help you understand the pieces you're not understanding.
Mm.
I think that that is huge. Um, and that can be really scary, not understanding ourselves and our experience. And there are, so I really pull from, all of my academic knowledge and evidence-based practice and also my deep exploration of spiritual paths and traditional ceremony that has oriented me to my path and how I operate. And so I try and help you tap into what might that be for yourself. I try and help you tap into that, understand what you're going through, and really, consider other aspects of our existence and a more universal approach to how we operate within those experiences.
So would you work with me to find the right sort of practice or the right sort of approach to figure myself out?
I believe that having your own practice is huge. I believe that, what you do. So I really will give you homework in whatever form that fits for you, visual, auditory, or written. I will work with you and create meditative practices that incorporate therapeutic approaches as well, and how to navigate these things that you're experiencing. I use emotional freedom technique, which is tapping to realign and be able to regulate overwhelm and
Ooh.
discharge.
Ooh, that sounds really useful.
Discharge overwhelm.
Ooh.
Because there's it's not just talk. So it's talk, but it's also bringing awareness. The tapping can also be very helpful for things that are stuck. So I really use my experience to really hone in on what I feel is really important for you to work with, as far as undoing or building. Undoing a lot of the painful attachments, and we go through that piece, but also saying that maybe there's some other resources you can access and that your soul, I love working with more from a soul perspective, that your soul accesses that resonates with you.
So it'll look different for each person, but
Yes.
the overall trajectory is towards like an element of self-discovery that incorporates these different facets that you've learned about through a variety of means, the academic and the spiritual and the cultural.
Yes, that's right.
Sounds really nice.
Yeah. Would you like to see how an EFT session would go?
Yes.
So an EFT session, we would focus maybe on something that's stuck, like, say, for example, or I have a lot of anxiety before I go into the store or something like that. So we would go through a tapping to really dig into what that anxiety is. And EFT is focused on really self-love and acceptance. So we'd start tapping, like, and doing the process of tapping on the points and working with the anxiety. And then you can actually do that on your own as well. So this is really about being able to not necessarily come see me for 10 years. I really want you to build your own skills and have your own tools. And the thing is, once you start being able to regulate those things, it gets easier and easier because you build those pathways in your nervous system and in your brain that helps you to do that.
Sounds like a gift that keeps giving.
Yes, it is. It really is. And, I don't sell any fast fixes, but they sure are sustainable. And, if applied and worked with, right, they're lasting and they have ripple effects in your life. This kind of work can just have effects that just last and go into multiple avenues in relationships, right? Because the core issues are generalized often into everything: work, intimacy, parenting.
The anxiety of entering into like a grocery store, being able to deal with that, and that's like a specific context. It's a controlled, fairly, you volunteer to do that activity, and then being able to take that practice and incorporate it in less controlled situations. That sounds like such a beautiful tool set that you give people.
Thank you.
Denied.
I mean, we don't even talk about like I've worked in mental health for so long, but we don't ever really bring into, well, what are you actually experiencing in the grocery store? Like, what is entering your field? Like, do you have a protective, like, do you have the ability to imagine a protection around you? Like, do you even sense that? And do you even incorporate that into your life, right? And do we have words for that?
Yeah, I'm curious about how to arrive at all of these places because I have my earbuds in, I have my hat on, I'm wearing like loose, comfortable clothing, and that feels like a barrier between me and the grocery store. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. It's just kind of trial and error that I came upon that I haven't stopped to really think about what I'm doing or how I could apply it in
Creating a
other
physical
areas.
barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's representative of what we can create, like in our minds or in our field.
Mm.